session to order. It's now 6:01. Could I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Here.
Mr. Nestor?
Here.
Cedg?
Here.
Mr. Moser?
Here.
There's a quorum and,
At this point, I'd like to call Pastor Tim to lead us in prayer.
just let the minutes reflect that the controller, Rose Nixon, is here, and the treasurer, Mr. Saxon, is here.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this city, the people, these leaders, and the plans that you still have for each of us in our city. We thank you for your wisdom, your guidance, your direction, and for the hope to be restored. We ask for forgiveness for the failures of the leadership of the past and the people of the past generations, and we celebrate the successes that you've given. We look with anticipation for the gracious and kind leading of your hand. And Heavenly Father, it is our hearts and that we plan our way, but we pray that you will order our steps. I pray that we don't seek, that we seek you for advice, and let us not make decisions based on what we know, but let us act based on your wisdom. Please guide us, Lord. We place this meeting into your hands. We place our hearts and our minds into your hands so that you may direct us. We welcome your peace, your insight, your wisdom, and understanding to guide today. In the name of the one who is, and who was, and is to come. Amen.
Pledge allegiance. At this time, I would like to call on our solicitor to say a couple words.
There's going to be an amendment to the agenda. I just want to walk everybody through the process because the Sunshine Act was amended, requiring the city and all municipalities to post their agenda 24 hours before the meeting. However, there is a procedure in the event of an emergency. The agenda can be amended by motion of council and vote to allow everybody here to make public comment on that addition. I'm going to recommend the motion, resolution, or recommend to amend the agenda to add item 16 under old business, resolution 1 of 2021. Mr. Moser will explain the emergency nature of this resolution. It's a resolution of the Council of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the borrowing and mandating the repayment of funds from the city's line usage fund on an emergency basis to meet the city's payroll needs. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Is there any questions? I'd like to take a couple minutes and...
We got to do the vote to amend the
Okay,
agenda.
what are the questions on this? Okay. Let me explain a little bit about what's going on here. There is a one single sheet of paper that I left for everybody to pick up. Whether you picked it up or not, I don't know. But what this paper says is what was the state of the condition of finances as of yesterday afternoon. And what that really boils down to is we owe WEC, the engineers for doing the sewage system, $331,964. We owe the MMO, this is the police insurance retirement plan, $160,720.68. The fire MMO is $21,516. Now there's lots of other bills that we owe, but these are the big bills that really came to my mind right now. The problem is, the very next one is payroll. Payroll is tomorrow. Tomorrow is payroll for everybody in this city. If you look at the next line, you see what we have in the general fund, $9,112. How we got to $9,112, I don't know, I don't care, that's where we are. We have the payroll account with $9,564.16. The problem is, that's $18,000. We got payroll of $79,000. It doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. You don't just move money from account to account. This is a city. It has laws and order and requirements that you do. The fact that we have $72,000 in a line usage fee means nothing, because that money is money that was taken, that each one of you paid to the city and your sewage bill. That $27 adder that they put on everybody's bill, we only have $72,000 in that account. Now, why we don't have the $900,000 we should have there, I can't tell you. Right now, today, there's $72,000 in that account. I would also like to point out that that sum is to pay back the USDA loan that we are going to be embarking upon in the next few months to do the sewage upgrade that we're doing. It looks like we finally got things in line that can start happening. But the bottom line is, we don't have payroll for tomorrow. Now, I spent several hours trying to find sources of money, calling everybody I possibly could, looking at people that owed the city money. I did everything I could. And I ended up spending an hour or 2 hours on the phone with DCED, the Department of Community and Economic Development. They are the people that really control how cities work and what they do from the county perspective. And in the end, we came up with a plan to move $65,000 from the line usage fee account to payroll, to make payroll. That did not occur until literally a half hour ago. We have paychecks that will go out tomorrow to all the employees. It's not going to go ACH because we did not know we had the money up until just a half hour ago. So at the conclusion of this meeting, the controller and the treasurer, which are the only two authorized people to sign paychecks, will join me at the city hall where we will sign all the paychecks for all the employees that will be distributed to everybody. But let me make this very clear. There's risk associated with this. There's big risk associated with this. We are doing something that conceivably could hold us personally liable. Please do.
I think what Mr. Moser's trying to say, this is a pretty serious action that council is considering here. We met with Mike Foreman and another individual from DCED today for about an hour and a half. Mr. Moser participated on the call, Mr. Wojciechowski participated on the call, and Ms. Nixitz participated on the call as well. This is what was proposed. It is a proposed borrowing from the line usage fund in the amount of $65,000. This has to be paid back by the end of the year, according to this resolution. And I need to make it clear to everybody sitting here that failure to repay this money could involve liability to the city and potentially to the individuals sitting here. It's a very drastic measure. It's not one that I appreciate putting anybody on this table to make this decision tonight. But this was the best that could be done in less than 24 hours when the problem was discovered. I suggest that you five come together and come up with a plan on how you're going to repay this money. And this isn't, this is a cash flow problem. It's the beginning of the year. There's just not enough money in the general fund at this point. That will improve as the year goes along. The city's going to be looking into a tax anticipation note, which will also improve the cash flow. We're hopeful that that will go through. But again, it was an initial conversation that started just today. So I need to make it clear that, there's liability here if this money is not paid back by the end of the year. There will definitely be an auditor finding. If it's not paid back, then there could be potential liability, depending on what the auditor's opinion is. With that said, there's other issues with the line usage fund, as Mr. Moser alluded to. Money was already borrowed from the line usage fund. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Moser, but it was an amount of about $210,000. It wasn't voted on by council, it was just done. We don't know any other details other than that. Again, we found out about this at about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The services could be impacted. There's a snowstorm coming, I believe tomorrow night. I don't know anybody, and can't fault them for this. They're not going to know when their paychecks come. Why would they get a snowplow truck? So this is about continuing services for the city. so they can get the cash flow problems figured out.
I would also like to make it very clear that this is solving the paycheck problem tomorrow. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be faced with the same problem. It's entirely possible that we have the same problem in 2 weeks. And I'm not trying to put off the inevitable crash of the city of Monessen. It's possible, but I still have a very optimistic view that we can survive this. If you think about it, please pay your garbage bill. That's important. You pay your garbage bill as you paid it every year thus far. We should have somewhere between $230,000 and $250,000 in a garbage fund by the end of the month. If we get that, we're doing better. But there's no promises. I mean, we've got to get from now to the time we start seeing real estate taxes being paid, and we haven't even sent out the bills for real estate taxes yet, to get through. Without that, you just raise the red flag and call the state and say we're done. It is that serious that we have entered into a city with no money. That we came here with less than $18,000 and $500,000 that we owe. And the only one that really bites is the one that needs payroll. If you don't make payroll, you don't have the police. You don't have the city workers. When the snow comes, you're on your own. We cannot do that. If we don't make this payroll, the city has truly failed. It will have truly failed the citizens and so forth. I'm not willing to say that after being in office in 2 days. It's what I was left with. It's what I found the first day of office. Was no fun. And today is not any more of fun. All I'm saying is I ask the city council to dig deep in their heart, understand the needs of the citizens, and do what they feel right. But I hope that it is to agree to do payroll this way and to continue to support it going forward. If anybody would like to comment on that, I open comment. We still have to vote on this.
Vote on amending the agenda. I need to make a correction because there is a typo. It says Resolution 1 of 2021. That should say Resolution 1 of 2022. We do need to call the roll for this. Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
This is for the amendment, correct?
This is for the amendment, correct? Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Yes.
That will be added as number 16. The public's
Now,
willing to comment, or can comment on it, the public comment portion of the meeting.
at this point, we don't have the minutes of the meeting from Monday currently available from the day before yesterday. So I'm going to, at this time, open the floor for public comments on agenda items only, of which this is an agenda item that we just added.
Ron, was it okay if we comment on what you just said?
Absolutely.
This is not an easy decision to do, but we try to put ourselves in everyone else's shoes. But if we didn't get a paycheck without any notice, how would that affect us? Most of us live paycheck to paycheck. So just wanted to let you know this was a hard decision to make, to pay you guys, to pay the workers today, even though we need to pay them. But in 2 weeks, we might be in the same position. So I just believe in knowing ahead of time. I'd rather be prepared just in case. If you know there's a possibility of not possibly making payroll in 2 weeks, prepare for that. Prepare to know there may be a possibility. I'd rather know that 2 weeks ahead of time that I may not get a paycheck than finding out a day ahead that I am not getting paid. So it's just being honest and upfront. I just knew I wouldn't want to be in that boat to find out I wasn't getting a check tomorrow and I did not know that. So just know we're just trying to be honest with you. It doesn't mean things are going to change in 2 weeks. So just prepare for that. This is just where we're at. There's nothing we can do about it. So just wanted to know that there may be preparation. We pray it doesn't happen, but you never know. So it's better to be prepared than not to be prepared.
On the other floor, Councilman Thomas is correct, but I also believe that her statement should also be part of that motion as well. That the citizens. I think the citizens should also know that it should be part of the motion as well. I think Councilman Thomas is correct. Our employees should know maybe in 2 weeks we might not be able to pay them again. And I don't know about you, but I can't go down rabbit hole and rely on doing something of a motion like this again, another 4 weeks down the road.
Mr. Nestor, this is truly a one-time occurrence.
Okay.
It's not only because, this line usage is a proprietary fund. Every resident pays a fee every month. I think it's up to $27 a month now. And it's for maintenance of the thing, it's for all the other sewage projects that have been decades in the making that have to get done. You're gonna have at least a $15 million loan. You're gonna have to pay back to USDA. You're gonna have to pledge those sewer revenue funds to be able to accomplish that. This is a dire situation right now. And this is day 5 of the new year. This is day 3 of this new administration. You don't get past this, sorry, Mr. Moser, day 2. You don't get past this point, you're not gonna get out of the starting blocks.
So it's truly, if we care about our workers, we need to tell your family, your friends, that if you're able to make your payments on your garbage or whatever you need to do, taxes, if you're able to do that ahead of time, normally ahead of what you normally do, if you want to help our city workers continue to get paid, we need to do that. This is a time where if we're going to come together, we need to do it now.
Say thank you for the clarification. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of this. It's hopefully a one-time thing.
Are there any other comments? Come on up here.
Nancy Horvath, I'm from Monessen, 1417 Arlington. I'm trying to catch my memory, and that's really doing something difficult. But I thought in the past, there was something being questioned when the city ran into this problem at the end of the year, that they automatically borrowed or took money from one fund. I remember Tony questioning, it's like making out the bills, but not paying them. What situation was that where the bills were marked as paid but not used until after this money was taken from I'm not, there's something rattling around in my head that something was done almost every year to take us over the hump.
A TAN note was secured by the prior or the previous administration. There was no TAN note in 2021. We will have to be seeking a TAN note for 2022. You could go back months, and I could probably sit here and buy you all dinner and sit here and get bored by me telling you everything in my opinion, but I'm not going to do that.
So that is a possibility, or why is it not being used now?
Well,
It takes time.
It takes time to secure it from the bank, and a bank's going to have to stand behind it like a personal loan.
I'm not totally glad, but I couldn't
No.
remember parts of it.
And that is something that the city is going to look into.
The process was started this morning. It's going to take some time for the bank to look at the finances and everything like that. The city will be pledging their tax dollars that they anticipate to come in. The good news is, it seems like the city's doing well collecting taxes percentage-wise. Is that correct, Mr. Treasurer? Yes, it is. So financially, it makes sense. It may have to involve some sort of creation of a sinking fund based on the bank's recommendation that this will be repaid not in a lump sum, but over the course of time. Hopefully it works out. Again, it was just an initial conversation with the bank this morning.
Is there any other questions?
Mayor, 708 Monessen Avenue. I want to comment on agenda item 13 that you'll be voting on today, the renewal agreement for Union for the Civic Center. I currently am one of the board members for the rec board, and Center. And with the new ordinance, they didn't want the public to have the code so people could just come down and use it whenever. They wanted someone to come down and unlock the doors, let them in, sign a rental agreement, so there was a paper trail for the auditors. I guess the auditors said there was no records, limited records, which was fine. It was extremely challenging the first few months of this volunteer position that I took when I was in charge. Extremely challenging. I'm a nurse in a level 1 trauma center ER. I work crazy shifts. I drive an hour. I get up at 1 a.m. in the morning. I would work all day. And I want to give everyone on the board and Mr. Mayor an example. I was at work one day. Honest to goodness, I'm in a cardiac arrest. I am saving someone's life. I had multiple phone calls. I was in there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I get out. I have all these missed calls and texts from someone who wanted to rent the Civic Center. And it wasn't even for that day. It was for later on. And they called me twice, left me voicemails, they texted me. And then the person who used, they reached out to me who used to rent the Civic Center. They messaged me, text, voicemail. And then the current who's no longer on the board, they messaged me and texted me. So I had like 10 text messages and voicemails from a 2-hour window because I didn't return a text or a call immediately. I couldn't. I was saving someone's life because I have a full-time job. So, just to let you know, it is extremely challenging for any board member on the rec board to be able to rent, do these things, come here, sign the agreements, let people in and out any time of the day or night. It's extremely hard. And in my opinion, that should not be a volunteer's job. Like the rec board, in all honesty, should be in charge of what it stands for, recreation things for the community, not running the civic center. That should be a paid position, which is what they did. They brought Julian in, and I know you guys are going to be voting on renewing his contract or not. And I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, ladies and gentlemen, I work 2 jobs. I'm in grad school, and all the other people on the board work. They have children. You know, they're active in their children's lives. It would be very hard for anybody on this board to be able, as a volunteer, to work full-time and do these duties that they would be responsible for if you guys get rid of children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. There's the man again.
Thank you. My name is Julian Monessen. I introduced myself at the last meeting. I'm gonna make a comment on agenda item number 13. I'm just gonna add on to what Mr. Young said. When I got hired, this building hadn't been open for a very long time. People weren't able to rent it. The kids had nowhere to go. People used this building for birthday parties, summer feeding programs, and just different things. And I got hired early summer and came back in by myself, got it open, able to be rented by myself. I was here all day long, and it was extremely hot during the summertime, but I did it because I cared, because I know what this building represents to the community. I know what it means to people from outside the community want to use this building too. I've made several partnerships while working here. I'm not just in here every single day. I've made partnerships with the Monessen Library, the middle high school. I've made connections with SPHS, the Penn State Extension 4-H program. I've connected several city boards from me being on here and other boards. We've been able to have birthday parties in here. We've had several really cool birthday parties, and the kids can play basketball in here again. And if you know Monessen, you know that the kids love basketball almost above anything else. They love it. It's a safe space for them to go, and I was able to help them do that again. I also was able to make a partnership with Scholastic to try to get the kids free books, so when we do have events down here, we can get the kids books for them to take home. We got new safety equipment in here, new fire extinguishers in all the rooms. We got a new First aid kit, a new AED kit out there that we're receiving training for. Basically I was able to get the things that this place needed in order for people to be able to use. And I'm not saying I was in here all day as it was a hardship. I'm saying I did it because I live in the community of Monessen, and I genuinely, 100% love this building. I love what it represents. I love what it stands for. And I hope you guys can see by all the work that I've done that I really do put forth an effort, not only for the kids in this community, but for the adults too. I have the high-rise over here wants to do a board game club in here because it's right across the street and they can't walk far, but they can walk across the street to play board games on a Friday night. So I just want you guys to know that I really genuinely care about this building, and I hope you guys are ready to keep going. Thank you so much.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, I'd like to continue talking about old business. The primary reason for this meeting being scheduled in the first place was to pass a budget. Up until now, the budget, let me restate this. On December 16th, the prior council advertised the budget. By state law, it has to be advertised for 20 days. Today is day 20. Today is the very first day that we can approve the budget. Up until this point, we were not authorized to spend any money whatsoever. So with that, I'm going to ask for somebody to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the final reading of ordinance 1252, an ordinance of the city of Monessen, county of Westmoreland, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, appropriating specific sums estimated to be required for the specific purpose of the municipal government, hereafter set forth during the year 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Aye. Mr. Moser?
Aye. To go along with that motion, we need, now that we passed the second reading, the final reading, we need to adopt that motion as an option.
Honorable Mayor, a motion to adopt ordinance 1252, my correction.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Or Ms. Thomas first, second. Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Aye. Mr. Moser?
Yes. To go along with that, you have to fix the tax rate, and that is the motion 1253. Could I have a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve the final reading of ordinance 1253, an ordinance of the city of Monessen, county of Westmoreland, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving specific sums, fixing the tax rate for the year 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the roll. Any questions? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Aye. Mr. Moser?
Yes. The final reading we can now adopt. Can I have a motion?
Motion to adopt ordinance 1253.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Aye. Mr. Moser?
Yes. Part of the problem that we've had with this line usage fee is set aside by an ordinance that we're trying to get passed here. Could I have somebody read the final reading, please? Make a motion for the final reading.
Motion to approve the final reading of ordinance 1254, an ordinance of the city of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, establishing spending and accounting provision for portions of the city's sewer line usage fee per rate paid.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions on the motion? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Aye. Mr. Moser?
Aye. Okay. Everybody's well aware that last year well, let me restate this. Mon Valley Refuge Authority is the authority that controls our garbage collection. They entered into an agreement last month that changed our supplier from waste management to county hauling. We need to make a motion before this becomes appropriate, although your garbage has been picked up on good faith. Could I have somebody make a motion?
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1255, an ordinance of the city of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Agreement Act as amended, authorizing and directing that the appropriate officials execute and deliver an agreement to be dated as of December 1st, 2021. Ban and amongst this borough, the city of Monessen and Mon Valley Refuge Disposal Authority, and ratify such execution and delivery and fixing the conditions of the agreement. The duration and term of the agreement, the purpose and objectives of the agreement, including the powers and the scope of authority delegated in the agreement, the matter of extent of the financing the agreement, the organizational structure necessary to implement the agreement, and such other powers that may be deemed relevant for the purpose of carrying on the function as they may be necessary for business-like execution of the purpose of this agreement.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions on that?
Question there. I noticed there's been changes to the pickup. After reading the paper, I noticed that the pickup is going to be Monday and Tuesday. I know there's other areas within the city that you could have a Wednesday or a Thursday. My question really is, I try to reach the school district, but they're a big part of the accumulation of trash. At the elementary center, where the playground is, they have 2 dumpsters. I'm just hoping that with this agreement that dumpster would not just be picked once a week, maybe more. From what I was told, it's twice, but I hope that stays, because if they only do Monday and Tuesday for a trash pickup, that accumulates a lot of trash for the kids that are actually going to be cleaning around that. I see that as a health issue, and let alone, I didn't get to read the whole agreement. I'm just kind of curious if anybody on the council might have that information. Unfortunately, I tried to get hold of Ms. Bukowski, but I called her, it was too late during the day. I just want to know when the trash pickup would be for not just the school district, but for businesses too here in Monessen, and you know what their strange contingencies would be placed on them if passed.
Well, first off, I've had many conversations with Mike, who is the head of county hauling. He's new to Monessen as well, as far as doing trash pickup. This is really controlled by me. The trash pickup, the contract, was done by the Mon Valley Refuge Authority. This here is basically setting an agreement between us and the Mon Valley Refuge Authority to go along with it. The option is we do away with it. I'll leave this up to you.
It's called an intergovernmental cooperation agreement. That's how the authority chose to do this. Garbage is getting picked up for residential services. I know there's a bit of an issue with the transition. Council's option at this point, I don't even know if it's a good option. You would have to go back out and bid your own garbage. You are a member of this authority, and that brings into question the authority's existence. So I think you got to take that for what it's worth tonight. And this is just the first reading, but if you don't pass this, you could have severe interruption of the garbage service. That could be a potential outcome, unfortunately.
To be real honest, January the 1st came around, I met with Waste Management, and they were picking up all their dumpsters. The point being is, I did not know that there was any garbage going to be picked up, and I really assumed that when I assumed office, there would be no garbage pickup. Through the grace of whatever, grace of God, whatever, the Refuge Authority had entered into an agreement back in December to have garbage picked up in Monessen, so that Hopefully, we did not miss garbage pickup, garbage in the residential area. There was a lot of confusion with the businesses. The businesses thought they could go out and get garbage contracts with anybody they wanted. Biggs came in and said, we are here, we can do garbage bins for commercial businesses. The bottom line is that contract that the Refuge Authority did was for both residential and commercial users. If we throw that contract away, we're without garbage at all. We have to start over with a whole new thing, for one. For two, there is a city ordinance that also states that the same person that does the residential garbage also does the commercial garbage. So in lieu of all the confusion that's been out there, County Hauling, to the best of my knowledge, from what he told me, they sent a letter to Biggs, basically threatening legal action if they continue doing business in Monessen. That the County Hauling believes that they have a contract with Refuge Authority to pick up garbage in Monessen. We could not do this and start over. You guys are going to be without garbage for several weeks, if not months.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that everyone's aware that I just feel that I hope that County Hauling will be able to come to our school districts and hopefully not just pick up once a week. You know,
I think they're going to be very receptive to that, to be honest. But that is worth a phone call to both County Hauling and potentially the Refuge Authority.
Thank you, Mayor.
I think that might be within the district's prerogative too. I don't know if that contract gives them a dumpster for free pickup. I know some of the city buildings has dumpsters with free pickup. But in essence, the school district would be a quasi-commercial account. They would have to set the terms of how often they would want the dumpsters picked up, how big those dumpsters are needed at the school, things of that nature.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Yes. We need to make a motion to advertise the above ordinance in the newspaper. Could somebody make that motion?
Mayor, motion to advertise ordinance 1255 in the Long Valley Independent newspaper.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Yes. To be honest, the next one I'm not positive really is relevant to the timing, but nonetheless we decided to include it. This is for the demolition project that's going on. Could I have a motion, please?
A motion to award the 2021 CDBG Demolition and Site Clearance Project, Phase 1, to the lowest responsible bidder, Rittenauer and Sons Construction Company, Inc., based on their unit bid of $84,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Just a clarification on the timeliness of this. There is a certain time frame in which in the bid specs that it has to be awarded. I don't know what that time frame is, but better safe than sorry.
This is also for 11 homes, so that $84,000 is probably a pretty good deal. Call the roll. Is there any other questions? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Aye. In order to continue doing business, we need to be able to sign checks. Could somebody make a motion, please?
A motion to add Councilman Anthony Wojciechowski and Mayor Ron Moser as authorized signatures on all City of Monessen bank accounts and remove all others on the account except for the controller and the treasurer.
Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Aye. We need to end some of the frivolous spending that's going on and terminate some special counsel. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to terminate the services and request final invoice itemizing all charges for special counsel Ronald Nicholas from Gatus to Siri and Nicholas, and to withdraw the city participation of civil action 4071 of 2021 in the Westmoreland County Court of Common Pleas.
Could Could I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Greger? Mr. Moser?
Aye.
I'm not over that time, sorry guys. I'm usually not a participant here.
Can you do the same with the second?
Motion. Motion to terminate the services and request final invoice and itemizing all charges with special counsel Ronald Nicholas from Gatus to Siri and Nicholas with regards to alleged improper recordings at City Hall.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Mr. Moser?
Aye. Because I am now the mayor, I did do a letter of resignation that needs to be accepted. This is for my position on the RDA. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept the non-rescindable resignation of Ron Moser from the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Monessen, effective January 2nd, 2022.
Could I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Call the roll.
Questions on the motion?
Questions on the motion, I'm sorry. Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger? Mr. Moser?
Should I vote on that?
Yes, you can.
Aye. We need a motion to renew the agreement with Julian. He is a very vital part, and the only complaint I have about this is we're not paying him more. I need a motion, please.
Motion to renew agreement for Julian Napier as the Director of Recreation at the rate of $10 an hour with a 30-hour maximum work week to be paid $5 an hour by the city and $5 an hour by the Recreation Board.
Could I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Any questions?
Statement, Mayor. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate the time, not just you, but the board members do for our community. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Strong.
Call the roll, please.
Need a second. What was the second?
Second, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Yes.
Mr. Greger? No. Mr. Moser?
Aye. I don't know what the future is of the building across the way in light of our payroll. The old annex building where we did have our city hall. Just a real quick count, I counted about 35 people in here this evening. The problem being the city hall where, the new city hall. And we probably need to get our fire marshal to clarify that and post it on the door, has limited capacity. And I don't know how we're going to do that. I do not want to continue to hold city council meetings in this building. This building has children that play on this court right there at this time. It is important that we vacate this building as soon as possible. I don't know where we're going to hold city council, but I don't want to keep doing it here. To that end, I think we need to get an estimate of what the extent of the mold is in the old building. Could I have a motion?
Motion to obtain estimates to conduct mold remediation in 557 Donner Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
Any questions?
Yes. I also think that you need to have a structural engineer take a look at that building, considering that if you look at the outside, there's cracks running down through it. You can see where the building's kind of sagging. We need to have a structural engineer look at that and make sure the building is safe.
Could we amend that?
You can. Mr. Greger just made the motion to amend. He needs a second.
Second, Mayor.
Any other questions?
No, we have to vote on the amendment, then we'll vote on the amended.
Okay.
So, voting on the amendment.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Aye.
So the motion 15 will read now. Motion to obtain estimates to conduct mold remediation and to provide structural engineering services in 557 Donner Avenue.
Could I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
No, I can't make a motion. You first.
Somebody make that motion.
Mayor, motion motion to obtain estimates to conduct mold remediation and structural engineering integrity inspection in $557 amount.
Okay, a second on that.
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Aye. Really now, we need to do our resolution. Is that correct? Read the resolution.
A resolution of the County Council of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the borrowing and mandating the repayment of funds from the city's line usage fund on an emergency basis to meet the city's payroll needs. Whereas on January 4th, 2022, Mayor Ron Moser was notified that there were insufficient funds within the city's general fund and payroll fund for payroll expenditures that were scheduled to be paid on January 6, 2022. And whereas in order to meet these payroll requirements, council must borrow funds on an emergency basis from the city's line usage fund. And whereas the borrowing is being done on an emergency basis because employees will not be compensated for their labor provided to the city of Monessen, and whereas in order to borrow the funds from the line usage fund, the city is required to pay back the line usage fund with 6% interest. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Monessen and is hereby resolved as following. Section 1. Council does hereby authorize the borrowing of $65,000 from the line usage fee in order to make payroll expenditures on January 6, 2022. Section 2. Council does hereby mandate that the borrowing of $65,000 be repaid to the line usage fund with 6% interest by December 31st, 2022. Section 3. This resolution shall become effective immediately. Section 4. Any resolution or part of a resolution in conflict wherein is hereby repealed.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Any questions on this motion or this resolution? Call the roll, please.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Nestor?
Aye.
Mr. Greger?
Aye.
Mr. Moser?
Yes. I'll let the rest of this open for any of the council members that would like to say anything. There's no reports that are prepared. I certainly did. Well, I'm not the first to do that, I'm sure. Hearing none, I will open the floor to public comment. Take the mic.
I didn't know if I needed it. I was all the people here. I was, is it on? Yeah. Okay, I was all the people. Prosperous movement. And I just want to begin. I'm looking at this statement that you got. Why is it the $190,000 of the health center building purchase is going to pay this month?
No, it is due June the 1st.
It's now June the 1st.
It's always been June the 1st, 2022. And I've talked to them, they have every intention of paying that.
Okay, and then you have the COVID, that's $170,000, right?
Right.
Okay, now there's another $300,000 coming in 2022.
At some point, yes.
You don't know when?
No.
How come the garbage collection isn't in there? Should you have an accumulation of the garbage collection? Because they've been paying it since
Right,
October.
we're receiving about $5,000 to $10,000 in garbage fees every day, right now.
Okay, so like, where are we on that? 60%, 70% paid?
Oh, I tried to get that from the treasurer, I was not able to take that.
What was your question, Ernie? Well, how much money is collected so far?
Approximately 55,000.
There you go.
Okay, how come they know this?
No, it's not on that report because I wasn't required to do it. That'll be on next month's report.
Yeah, but that will help clarify our actual positions.
That doesn't pertain to this meeting.
Hey, Mr. Telegraphs, this, and it's good to see you again. It was just to show that cities and councils are in town. It wasn't a whole snapshot, it was what's in the general fund, what's in the payroll accounts, and some of the other funds.
Okay, my question is, when will this board show us where we're at as far as...
The next meeting will be the 13th, and that will be a full meeting with a full report.
Okay, would you also show what they left to the last administration? What did they do? Because I heard it over 100,000.
That's on this report right here. That's the total sum of all the money they left us with, on each of the accounts.
So all this is their accumulation.
That's what they left us with. $9,112 in the general fund, $9,564 to make payroll.
Okay, so when are you going to add the garbage?
The garbage will occur in the general fund. That should bring that up very quickly at the rate of $5,000 to $10,000 a day.
Okay, the next to the last question, is you going to apply for a TANF to help?
Yes.
When?
We already made initial contact today.
Could you tell us what bank?
Community bank.
Community bank? Okay, and is anybody going to pursue, because you're interested in about everybody sitting over there in the bank, is anyone going to pursue trying to get the old house building back?
The old health building has been sold, and he's out until June the 1st to pay for it. If he doesn't pay for it, then we come back to
They'll
this.
come back to you, so then what, the city council going to move in?
I don't know that. We don't know what shape it's in anymore. It required excessive repairs when we left it. Right now, we wouldn't have the money to move.
Okay, I came a little bit late today, because I thought it was 6:30. Is the next meeting will come at 6 or 6:30?
The next meeting will be at 6:30 on the 13th, and I'm going to try to do it at the city hall, where the city hall building is.
The bank?
The bank, the old community bank. To be real honest, I've got to sit down and work with our fire marshal to make sure that we can hold this many people in that room.
Well, why don't you grab him now? He's already.
He's over there, but as you recall, the last time we had a meeting here, we had people out in the foyer. If we start having large numbers of people that show up to these meetings, and quite honestly, I hope we do, we got to find another home. There's lots of possibilities. We can move to the school auditorium as an example.
I have one last question. Does
Pastor
anybody?
Tim was offered to allow us to do it. He's on the left. But Pastor Tim has allowed us to do it in the coffee shop. It holds about 60 people. There's a possibility.
That ain't bad.
That ain't bad.
They drink some refreshments now. Hey, I have one last question. Does anybody here know where Pastor Law is?
Oh, no, I don't care. Thank you. Any other public comments?
Also, Commission 1552 Leeds Avenue. You mentioned potentially having a meeting to hear up at the school district. What will be preventing us from having that?
To be honest, I need to get together with the rest of the council and talk about it a little bit. We have at least a couple of days to think about where we're going to do it. I'd like to see somebody look at the other building where we used to be at. Is it possible we move back there? If it's prohibitively costly, then that's not an option. I really don't know.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Honorable Mayor, motion to adjourn tonight's meeting January 5th at 6:56 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Ms. Thomas? Mr. Orchowski? Yes. Ms. Nestor? Mr. Gregory? Mr. Moser?
All right, thank you, everybody. No refreshments?